The usual lineup is here tonight, and most of us are actually here for a change. This is our heavy metal episode. We are talking about Arsenic and Old Lace.
I was tricked.
How were you tricked?
I said heavy metal.
You should explain.
I'm expecting riding on a dragon with John Candy.
We're filming in black and white because it's a black and white movie.
Well,
and we look good in black
the
and white.
movie we're talking
I
about
look
is a
good.
1944 movie starring Cary Grant. And it is indeed black and white. There are some other colorized later movies, but that's not the one we're talking about.
How did they get 41?
I don't know.
It was made in 41. It didn't get released until 44.
Okay,
the war.
that's crazy.
The war was going
It was
on.
on Broadway.
That was the other thing, is they were
Didn't want the
contractually
competition.
obligated to not release the movie to the general public until after the play had finished its run, because they thought that the movie would hurt the play's revenues.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because of this, interestingly enough, the movie was released to the guys overseas fighting in the World War almost a year before it hit the general public.
You know, more power to them. They deserve it.
Exactly.
No, it's a good damn movie, so.
Yep.
Alright,
So according to legend, the director who was working on this got called up to active duty. When he was stationed in London, he heard English and American soldiers who had seen the movie using Teddy's going up the stairs charge to terrify Germans.
Up San Juan staircase.
Up staircase.
Okay, so quick aside for today. Adam West passed away. Very sad. I have to mention it. I mean, he's Batman and Mayor of God, and was in Johnny Bravo. That's all I remember.
And not American Dad.
He was also in
Family
Joyride in 19...
He was in a ton of stuff. He was
in
in
everything.
He was in a ton of stuff. He was a great actor. He was Batman.
He has retired his cowl to the Batcave.
Adam Wee.
That's good.
Adam Wee.
Aw, he was so funny.
He was. He was a
Not-
hell of an actor, but he passed away today. It's very sad. So
There's also
do need
the
to
Grey
mention it.
Ghost in the animated Batman series.
It's true, he was, which was an amazing tribute to
But-
the Batman.
Moving forward,
There's also a spooky guy in a motel room.
our good associate Travis is going to be trying to sell us on some movie. Dying to hear this.
That's
I
right.
put this off long enough on the last one, so
So save the best for last, right?
no, I'm a bad cleanup hitter.
Really? Everyone's pitched already?
Yeah.
I haven't pitched.
You
We
don't.
were closing.
You're not always here.
I'm not always here.
two?
I would like to pitch one
All
of
of the
these days.
regulars
though.
have pitched. I mean, I would love to not pitch from Nick or Claire, but
But you're not always here.
No,
tonight it's on me, and I kind of felt that I needed to make up for Jordan last week, so I picked a spaghetti western.
Okay, so hold on. Ryan's got his timer.
They don't need to see that.
Was it 90 seconds now?
90 seconds.
I don't know if I have 90 seconds to fill, but I'm actually going to be talking about They Call Me Trinity from 1970. This is this is a film that it propelled Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer to international stardom. And if you don't know who they are, shame on you. I'll wait while you look them up.
Can't. He's got
I
the time.
can't look at it. Okay. Basically, these guys had done a bunch of spaghetti westerns, and then they decided that
He had made spaghetti.
we're gonna do a spoof on spaghetti westerns. This is the film that launched Western comedy.
Actually, I'm into this now.
I am too.
Yeah.
And too many notes, not enough time.
That's why I don't write notes.
The short version is you got this guy Trinity who is just
But
like
Trinity was a girl's name.
no. It's like,
Stop cutting into
he's
his
also
time.
known as the left hand, the right hand of the devil. He's the laziest, most layabout, useless gunslinger in the West, but he's also the fastest draw. Rides around into town on the back of this Travois.
So he's the Waco kid.
Kind of. And he gets to this town, and he discovers that his brother, who is a known outlaw, is somehow the sheriff. And it turns out that, his brother had waylaid a sheriff in the desert, left him for dead, was taking the sheriff's place, waiting to carry out some nefarious plot or other. Hilarity ensues. It's just a lot of over-the-top brawls. There's a big final confrontation where they decide to weaponize a bunch of Mormons.
What?
Police. It's the other.
Why do you weaponize a Mormon?
You have to watch the movie to find
Well,
out.
John Browning figured that out.
That's how you arm a Mormon. How do you weaponize?
They don't even arm them. There's they commit a huge spaghetti western sin, and then all the main characters throw away their guns and get into a fist fight. It's phenomenal. It's hilarious. Watch this movie.
I'm actually sold on this.
Yeah, I am too.
It sounds.
I'm gonna have to
Really
look this
great.
up.
I would drink and watch it. Why not?
And if you really like it, there's a sequel. Trinity is still my name.
It sounded like that. Just sounded like you were just announcing that your name was Trinity. I'm sorry.
I know. But
All I can think of is The Matrix.
I know, me too.
I'm sitting here
And you know how much I love The Matrix.
movie?
I don't know if
I know.
you or the watcher, but I love The Matrix.
it is a slightly weird movie because it was
It's
shot in a town
number
to
one
begin with,
favorite
and then they dubbed over
Number
it.
one.
Wow.
Yep.
You know,
I'm
it works.
thinking of
Even
freaking Blazing
the whole
Saddles.
trilogy, or just the one
Very
movie?
same kind of idea. Blazing Saddles.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
That's my problem with it.
The movie does not require
The way it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Like the way they
That
ended it,
joke
it could've
became
been
dark
fine.
like 15 years later.
Are we ready?
Alright, so hey, Arsenic and Old Lace, Cary Grant, 1944, not 41.
Not
Technically 41, but released 44.
Jim, tell us more.
Filmed in 41,
Okay,
released in 40.
Arsenic and Old Lace was started out as a Broadway production. It is the story of Mortimer Brewster, an author who hates marriage and a theater critic who has just gotten married, who comes home to tell his darling, sweet, wonderful old aunts about this marriage, and he finds a dead body in the window seat. Turns out his darling, sweet aunts are basically serial killers who have been killing these poor, lonely old men.
Oh, there's nothing basically about it. They
Well, they're serial killers, and they've been murdering these old men with arsenic poison and other various things, and elderberry wine, which, by the way, tastes disgusting.
I describe them as devilishly altruistic.
Because they're sad and lonely. Things are complicated by his other brother, who thinks he's Theodore Roosevelt, and his
brother's cousin.
his brother.
Okay.
Then his third brother, who actually is a known serial killer who shows up with his own fine gentleman, Mr. Spinalzo, and they're trying to sort out all these bodies.
And a plastic surgeon.
And he's a plastic surgeon, played by Lee Warren, who is a genius in the part. Of course, it is a slapstick comedy of errors. He's trying to get his brother committed, Teddy, by the way, the one who thinks he's Theodore Roosevelt, committed to the asylum, basically to take the credit for the murder, so his aunt, take the fall for his aunt, but he figures if he gets him in the sanitarium first, then they can't hurt him. But then Jonathan shows up with his own body and sort of complicates the whole scenario.
The look at this was.
There are 13 corpses listed in this movie. Only 2 that actually show up. However, this is a funny.
They don't even really show up.
Fair enough. This is a comedy, which is it's unusual that your comedy is.
It's a very dark comedy.
It is a very dark comedy, but it is one of my favorite movies, and I have watched this movie so many times growing up that rewatching this, I'm like, oh my god, I know all the dialogue.
And you
Are we
still didn't catch
surprised?
my quote,
And I still didn't catch your quote.
which is my favorite quote of the whole
That
movie.
is not my favorite, which is why I did not catch it.
I just love it.
Woodrow Wilson go to
I
bed.
know, but he was angry.
I'm Woodrow Wilson, go to bed.
When Jonathan's talking to Teddy.
Is Taft moving in?
Who's that? Taft.
I mean, 85% of the quote is just his face as he's saying it, though, so
Yes,
it doesn't
fair.
translate as well.
This movie taught me several things. First, that Cary Grant was a genius physical comedian, which his later career does not reflect in any way. And
Cary Grant hated this movie because of that.
yes, but he's a genius physical comedian. His facial expressions, and actually a lot of the actors. The reason I love this movie is because a lot of the actors do so much work with their facial expressions, not with their dialogue. But the dialogue is genius too. And that apparently people talked a lot of shit about Brooklyn in 1941.
People talk shit about Brooklyn now.
But watching this movie makes Captain America, weirdly enough, make a lot of sense for me. Because apparently Brooklyn was either full of crazy people or people willing to punch each other in the mouth.
Mostly people want to punch each other in the
So it
It is
makes
It's
Steve
still
Rogers. It makes
full
Steve
of
Rogers
people willing to punch each
understand.
other.
I really understand.
That's a
Steve
good
Rogers.
point, yeah.
There's a reason for the
Have
Trump
you been to
Bronx
Brooklyn?
rage.
No, I've never been to Brooklyn. I've never been to New York City.
Alright, so during our class trip, we went to Brooklyn. And our time in Brooklyn was running a little late, and I have never seen a bunch of teachers rush to get people out of an area so quick as they did when they were like, it's time to leave Brooklyn.
Everyone's getting out of work. We gotta go now.
No, it's after dark.
Oh.
Time to get out of Brooklyn.
Yep.
Okay, so sorry if you mentioned this, but I wasn't sure if you did. It takes place on Halloween.
Yes, I did not mention that.
And
But
we
it
were-
is not a Halloween
It
movie.
is not a Halloween
Okay,
movie.
but we were watching just a little like moment. We're watching the credits, right? And like the old timey credits, they like have pictures and all.
Yeah, it's-
they kept showing like jack o' lanterns and cats and stuff. I'm like, what's with all the Halloween stuff? And then like a moment later, it says Halloween Day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, the opening credits have the witches and like a
And
cat and a broom.
the opening scroll mentions that it takes place on Halloween.
But it could have taken place on literally any day of the year.
Except
it
for
doesn't matter.
there's one scene, and we mentioned this earlier, where the ants are in their kitchen,
Trick-or-treaters.
and there's the trick-or-treaters all like clamoring through the half
Yeah.
door,
It was
and they start
It's actually
handing,
really creepy.
and they start and they start handing them through the door,
half door.
actual pumpkin jack-o'-lanterns lit,
Yeah.
and the kids are just like, what is it? Yeah, so no
The thing is-
candy, you just get a pumpkin.
Yeah.
The thing is, I've seen several stage productions of the play before I ever saw the movie. I've
Oh,
never,
really?
I've
Yeah,
never
we started.
seen the Jack.
Not
Welcome
I
back to Cinema
basically
City.
grew up on
Continuing
this
our
movie.
talk on
What?
Arsenic and Old Lace.
I basically
Sorry,
grew
we
up
had
on
some
this movie. My
technical
dad was one of
difficulties,
my
but
dad's
we're back
favorite
and good to
movies.
go, hopefully.
We bought him this on VHS.
As I said, we're talking
and like
about
so a
Arsenic and
couple
Old
years
Lace,
later, we bought it on
1944
DVD.
version.
We'll probably get it for our
I was looking for my DVD this week. I couldn't find it.
I'm not sure where we dropped
I think I
off,
might have
but
given it to somebody or
I think
let
we were
somebody
just
borrow
talking
it.
about it being a Halloween movie, but
Not a Halloween movie,
It's
but
set at Halloween.
so-
Might be a Halloween movie. There's murder.
I know there's murder.
I don't see Michael Myers though.
But it could be
Right.
like it literally.
Boris,
could
if
be
you don't see him in Halloween 3 season of the
Not
witch.
Boris
No, wait, you do.
Karloff,
Never
not
mind.
even-
We're watching Halloween 2.
Wait a minute, that wasn't Boris.
No, and that's
He's in
actually
the play.
He's in the play.
Yeah.
This was originally a Broadway play. It was a very successful Broadway play.
I totally thought it was
The
Boris.
actress who plays Aunt Abby and Aunt Martha were both in the
the
Broadway
original
play.
actresses, yep.
The actor who
Oh,
plays
Boris
Teddy
Karloff.
is from the original Broadway play. Raymond Massey.
Yeah.
However, there's the running gag that Dr. Einstein has done plastic surgery on Jonathan, who is the serial killer, the actual serial killer brother. That he did the surgery after watching a scary movie with Boris Karloff, and he ended up making him look like Boris Karloff. The gag in the play was that the part was actually being played by the real Boris Karloff. However, the producers of the play wouldn't release Karloff from his contract because they were afraid if they lost him, they would lose a huge draw.
Yeah.
So they had Raymond Massey done in pretty heavy makeup to look vaguely like Boris Karloff.
Interestingly enough, Warner Brothers offered a solution. They said, if you let us have Karloff for the movie, we can guarantee you Humphrey Bogart to take the role for Broadway.
Was Bogart a big enough actor at the time to make it worth their time?
Yes.
Oh
Was he?
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
was-
Bogey didn't serve in World War II due to cerebral palsy.
Well, I don't know, but like, I'm wondering where this fell in Bogey's like career line when he was still playing villain parts, or he made the transition to the
Yeah,
big.
He'd already made the transition.
Because I
Okay.
think Maltese Falcon came out before this.
Yeah.
I think Sierra Nevada, or Sierra Madre was already out at this point.
That's
Yeah.
his like breakout.
The reasons why I picked this movie, and I will completely admit it, the reasons why I love this movie is Cary Grant is hilarious. The dialogue is eminently quotable, and it is such an endless like parade of on-running gags that like stuff that circles around, stuff that is brand new, the sort of facial expressions, the dialogue, everything that you pull up with. It's one of my favorite movies. It is surprisingly balanced in its treatment of people who are mentally ill for 1941.
Yeah.
Because Teddy is very clearly portrayed as sort of a cartoonish, kind of crazy guy who thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt. He charges up San Juan Hill. He buries people in Panama. He's built digging a lot. He insists on being called Mr. President. But he's treated as a very sympathetic character. And honestly, of the Brewsters, he's the least murderous. He's never killed anyone,
Yeah.
which is a complete
That
surprise.
we know of.
They all died of yellow fever.
They all died, but like he's treated like the most obviously mentally ill person in the movie is also one of the most like innocent characters in the movie.
Yep.
Which is very surprising. There's an effort to like find a nice sanitarium and treat him and the ants like they're good, like they're okay people, like treatment as opposed to like look at these comedy characters. So it's
Aside-
a weird balance.
Aside from the whole serial killer thing, the ants are like upstanding pillars of the community.
Oh my God, they're absolutely.
Yeah.
And like to backtrack to that, like there's a real quick throw out for that kind of concept where the taxi driver is talking to someone in passing. I can't remember who. I think the doctor, one of the doctors, something. He's like, yeah, I knew this was going to end up at the loony bin. And the administrator of
think of it as
the
a retirement
sanitarium,
home.
he's like, we don't like that term. We have a retirement home. And like that's cool that they added that as well. Like
Yeah.
they didn't just go, yeah, the loony bin. Fuck those people.
Yeah, like it's not. I'm not saying it's a good portrayal of people with
No,
mental illness.
no, it's not.
But for
Why?
41, it's a lot better
Than-
than a lot of the
Yeah.
stuff that was out at the time.
I wouldn't necessarily say. I think it was not a knowledgeable portrayal.
No, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be the word. I
Yes.
don't think it's a bad portrayal. You know, you say, oh, it's not a good one. I don't think it's bad at all. I think, like you said, it's pretty sympathetic, and about as knowledgeable as you would expect
Yes, and-
at that time
yes,
period.
absolutely,
So
yes.
I think it is, if anything, probably forward thinking. So
It is. I mean, for the fact that they treat like Teddy as like even like when the police officer, the new police officer is introduced to the beat, like for their exposition, O'Hara, for the
course.
exposition.
They're all Irish as
He's
hell.
not Irish as hell, which is hilarious. Irish racism is acceptable in 1941. Like they're basically saying, okay, you treat Mr. President, you salute him, you just
Yeah.
kind of go with it. He's harmless, just be kind to him, and that's like not making him a complete joke character. I mean, he kind of is a joke, but he is fairly effective.
but everybody's a joke in that movie, so it's like, yeah.
So, like, what was everyone's opinion of the movie? Anyone who had never seen it?
I think I'm one of the very few people here who hasn't seen it. Apparently not.
No, I haven't seen it either.
I'm not as surprised that you haven't seen it. No offense. It's just
Yeah.
not up your alley.
Yeah,
I
it's
liked
not.
it.
It's not noir.
It's been on the list to watch. To watch.
It kind of is noir elements at the end.
Noir had
Talking stick.
Piggy has the conch.
I enjoyed it. It
A conch.
fit right in with my sense of humor. Like it strikes me as the kind of movie that people would be surprised to find out I haven't seen it before.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Like, because every time they'd get ready to make a joke, like I would say it out loud, and then like, the people on screen would say exactly what I just said. I haven't laughed that hard at a movie in like a year, as I did watching.
Yeah,
Such a good
it's a good movie.
It's a good show.
It's a fun
I
movie.
really wish they could have got Boris Karloff. Would have made that joke way better.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I
Yeah.
kept being bummed out about
Right.
Karloff not being there. Because I thought he was. I hadn't seen him in like 5 years. I'm like, I remembered Boris Karloff in there.
Yeah.
He just kind of looks like Boris Karloff.
Everyone thinks he looks like Boris Karloff. It's Boris Karloff. However,
Apparently, in some of the stage versions, Bela Lugosi actually played that part.
ah,
And they made the gag that it was Bela
Dracula
Lugosi.
playing
Yeah.
Frankenstein's part.
And then they also did Tom Baker played the part.
oh, guys.
And so he made references of originally to John Puretree. Puretree? I can't say his last name.
It's Welsh.
He originally played the gag as like he looks like John Puretree in the part.
Right.
And then they got such a big laugh that he ran with I looks like just like Tom Baker.
Yeah.
Like because that's post Doctor Who, so it's pretty well known at the time. Puretree? I
It's
can't
Welsh,
say it.
so it's
Yeah.
weird.
I can't
So
say
you
it.
gotta
I'll be
cut
honest.
half your tongue off to say it.
I will be completely honest.
You
I
gotta
have
give
no
yourself
idea.
the flu and punch yourself in the face.
Not the flu, cat fever.
That's how Welsh
Right.
works.
That's how. Yeah, that is how you speak.
It's a whole lot of phlegm, yeah. The casting for this movie went through a lot of interesting iterations. Like the part of Mortimer wasn't originally intended for Cary Grant. They considered Ronald Reagan.
Who at the time would have been almost a nobody for such a huge part.
Yeah.
Future president in movie with guy
Jack
who thinks
Benny
he's
was
president.
another one that was considered.
Jack Benny.
Jack Benny.
Holy crap! I didn't see that one.
Another one who was really interested in it was Bob Hope.
Yeah.
It would have been a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Well,
He
Bob
was-
Hope also not really that famous.
He
But-
played such a.
Although
He
he did
played
it at the USO.
But Columbia wouldn't loan him out to Warner Brothers, so it didn't happen. So Warner Brothers is casting him out looking anxiously for somebody, and Cary Grant had just gotten kicked off of The Man Who Came to Dinner. And he wasn't doing anything, just sitting around, so like, hey, go to this movie.
I I don't think it would have been a completely different movie with Bob Hope because Bob Hope is such a self-aware style of comedy.
He would have had to sing a song.
And, and he's not that good.
To Morocco.
Roger Bali was on the other night, by the way.
I love the Road 2 movies. I mean, they're just
Exactly.
so absurd, but I love them.
But he has such a self-aware style of comedy, and there is an element of fourth wall breaking to Arsenic and Old Lace where he does directly address the camera, but not nearly as much as Bob Hope does in his part.
Yeah, like that.
So it would not. I think it would have been, in my opinion, it would have been less funny because the thing that really appeals to me, but like the minute after he finds the body, the original body, Mr. Hopkins. In the window seat, he's never quite right through the entire movie. His reactions are off. He does in such a good play of as a person who's like just unbalanced through the whole thing. Bob Hope would not have played it the same way, and it would not have been the same movie. I feel.
Not at all.
Bob Hope would have been too much of an aside to the movie.
I can't even picture him like sitting at the desk on the phone and like
Yeah.
just freaking. Like I can't even picture that.
No, he wouldn't have that same level of like fidget.
Yeah, please go away.
Yeah.
My second favorite like line in the movie is when after he first finds the body and the ants are like, oh yes, well we give him the arsenic and we put some arsenic and some strychnine and just a pinch of cyanide and a little recipe for like what to murder people with elderberry wine. Is they go off into the kitchen to make the cake for his like wedding cake, and he gets on the phone and he's like, operator, can you hear my voice? You can? Are you sure? I must be here. And his face, like his facial expressions are so good, and like that dialogue, Bob Hope would not have played it the same way.
I am
He's got that monotone voice.
disappointed that no one drinks the wine.
Yeah, that's an ongoing gag, and apparently
It's weird that no one drank the wine.
apparently the gag.
If that movie was written today, someone would drink that.
Oh, of course.
Well, actually, that's the thing. In the play, at the very end, the sisters give the wine to Mr. Witherspoon. And
Yes.
That was played, or they filmed that scene and they put it before a bunch of test audiences and it didn't test well, so they cut it from the movie.
Edward Everett Horton was
They found out
considered to
he
be
was
too
so
big of
bad
a name
smart.
of an actor to kill in the movie.
I feel like it almost would push it into the too dark. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe for the 40s.
Well, no, but think about that movie and how you never see a dead body. I mean, even the whole part where they're moving the body, it's black. It's like you don't even see it.
Silhouette.
What?
I mean, it's this idea that's funny,
What
but like
temperature?
if you're seeing a dead body or seeing somebody dying in front of you, like that's like
Which
maybe
is why
too
they
much.
cut that one old.
That was just after the Hays Code was introduced.
Well, not cut.
Yeah,
But the Whitey Mortimer turns around and is
Yeah.
like, do you want to be killed? Do you want to be poisoned?
I think it doesn't. I think it turns less into a humorous movie if that happens. I don't
Remember,
know.
this was 1941, so the Hays Code was still rather new. So this straight up, they could not show this kind of stuff. to
They
make
said
any-
basically the only reason it got past the Hays Code was because it had these two sweet little old ladies doing the murdering. If you had anyone else in the part, and that Jonathan was such obviously a villainous character, the fact that Dr. Einstein gets away.
And
the
it's
fact that
Peter
that
Lorre.
and that got past the Hays Code is honestly a surprise to me because there was no comeuppance for him as a villain. Although yes, he's a very ineffective villain.
And also, he's more of the beleaguered. No, don't do this, please.
Yeah, like
no,
a lot of
please
his
try.
dialogue is
Can I just mention something? The fact that they reveal at the end of the movie that Dr. Einstein isn't a plastic surgeon. And he's been performing plastic surgery on this guy like more than one. Like that blows my mind. Like,
Probably from Tijuana.
I mean,
like how the heck does he know how to do this? if he's not a plastic surgeon? That's a good impression you just did. Yeah, that's a good
important question then. Did you think he was a plastic surgeon?
No, never. But I mean, it's just funny. It's just like the whole idea of like they literally like he just did plastic surgery on this guy, and his face isn't falling apart and bleeding. Like you know what I mean? Like,
It's scarred up all hell.
That's why he looks like Boris Karloff.
But I mean, he was able
totally
to
thought that-
successfully do a facelift. You know, like what? Like I don't know.
Bring
That
the
just
nose up,
always
bring
blows
the
my
nose
mind.
up.
That scene actually
Like, how do you
makes
know how to
me
do
laugh,
that?
where Peter Lorre is going through and like describing what he's gonna do, and like at the same time Raymond Massey as Jonathan is like also talking over him, going, no, leave the eyes alone, bring the nose up, and it's just like such a weirdly natural set of dialogue for these two totally bizarre characters.
Fantastic
It's like they're having this
Yeah.
debating conversation. It's like,
I did discover that this is just recent news to me. A bunch of the dialogue between Cary Grant and Raymond Massey was ad-libbed.
I believe it.
And the line where Mortimer is describing like the idiot guy getting caught in those bad, like, just holding the idiot, like as TV tropes uses, holding the idiot ball while describing someone holding the idiot ball. He says to Peter Lorre, "Stop underselling it. I can't hear you." Like that is actually him taking a shot at Peter Lorre as like an actor, because Cary Grant at the time was very over the top, and so was like everyone else in this movie. And then you got Peter Lorre, who's like the ultimate understater, quiet kind of guy.
No, look at the roles he normally plays.
Well, and so like he's in this movie with all these people that are like hugely dramatic, and he's just the quiet.
And it works so well.
It works so well.
works
But
so
like
well.
Cary Grant deliberately dropped that line in there as kind of like to pick on affectionately on Peter Lorre's acting style, which is like, I can see it. Like it's very obvious.
Going back to the Hays Code for a moment, there's a lot of stuff that was dropped. A whole bunch of the romance stuff between Mortimer and Elaine got cut out because it was too touchy-feely sexual for the time.
And I mean, honestly, it's still pretty like,
You're giving me that
scandalous.
look?
It's that look. You're gonna see
Yeah.
that.
You're gonna see that look a lot.
Yeah.
it was where he like kisses her and carries her off because
Behind
he's
the
afraid that
tree.
she's gonna
The
fall
stage
off
production
beams.
is a lot
That there
more
really is
than that,
13 buys
and
in the
it
basement.
works to sort of soften the relationship between Mortimer and Elaine. In the movie, he kind of brushes her off for everything except like the very beginning and the very end.
They all just bang and that's
They wouldn't have to
Literally behind the tree in the cemetery.
It kind of. The movie left me thinking, why the hell hasn't she left this yet? Clay explains it.
So, speaking of weird parts of the movie, what was with the baseball brawl?
I think it was just to show how fucked up Brooklyn is.
Fucked up Brooklyn was.
In case you were wondering, we're in Brooklyn.
Right.
That's exactly
BT
it.
Dubs, Brooklyn.
Here's the Dodgers.
It didn't make
I
much
love that guy
sense to
who's
me.
like,
When I'm watching the movie, I'm like, should I be paying attention? Who are these people? Do I gotta remember?
You're a
their
bum!
names?
You're a bum! So what is this, Rocky?
Brooklyn Bums. That's what the
Our bums. Like 3 guys are wearing pins that say "Our bums" on them.
Oh, the Dodgers
I
are
thought
talking
I
about.
saw that
The
wrong.
Brooklyn Dodgers were referred to as the baseball knowledge. Oh my god, they were referred to as the Brooklyn Bums because they lost a lot, basically, and they weren't a very good team. But being
even the
from
fans were like, you bums!
but being from
The
New York,
Buffalo Bums.
but being from New York, New Yorkers love their hometown teams. They stand behind their people. It's a New York thing. They're like, they're our bums.
The only way you can explain Bills fans.
That was just, the Buffalo.
So how about the Vikings?
So much sports.
The NFC Bills? What?
Movies, yeah, that's all. We should do rollerball. Ooh. One
Well,
time.
it's,
Yeah.
it's Greg's.
Why not
that's-
Major
that's
League?
Behind the scenes stuff. Moving on.
Don't look at me. I'm pretty cool.
We should go to somebody else, like their specific
Talk about the staging
All right.
and the lighting and everything.
And the Italian.
And the,
Yeah, how is this movie?
There's something Italian related here. They're always
No, this movie is decidedly not Italian because during this time frame we were fighting the Italians.
To
This
be
movie
fair,
is decidedly
how could it not be
German.
Italian?
They're also
They're all Irish.
Right?
Just the cops.
The best thing Nazi Germany ever did for the United States was to scare everybody out of Germany and France in the film industry, so they came here, so our movies looked awesome in the 40s.
he's not wrong.
Right? Because
They're killing all the good directors.
right, we got Fritz Lang, we got fucking Peter Lorre out of it. They all bailed
Herzog?
out, so they don't want to be Nazis.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
Herzog was 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
We got that wonderful plastic surgeon, Dr. Einstein.
Yeah.
But set design of this movie, like the matte paintings for the outside of the house, like the Brooklyn Bridge and the cemetery and all that stuff. Super German expressionist. It's like expressing like a. I know I'm gonna be fucking incredibly boring here.
Go for it.
This is your
We call it a second. Slow it down.
But it's super German expressionist out there because it's like a non-naturalistic setting that's kind of depicting what's going on in the house. So there's a whole ton of graves. There's murders going on in the house. Like the Brooklyn Bridge is all like twisted and weird. And there's crazy people and crazy things going on in the house. And then they get in the house and it's like a stage play. So everybody's running around and it's just like your normal like Victorian house. But then when the evil brother gets there and Peter Lorre gets there, it gets back to German expressionism. When they're like hiding the body in the basement and stuff like that, there's like a ton of like shadows being cast by Teddy as he's like digging graves down there, and they're just kind of looking at the shadow of what Teddy's doing, and it gets this contrast between the black and white gets like really stark. So like they're carrying like bodies through the darkness down into this like cellar that's like just like pumping out light like it's some like ethereal like barrel.
Yeah, there's a ton of light on
I like that whole sequence where they've got Peter Lorre is talking to they got the shadow on the wall. It's very like
and Jonathan's silhouette like overlaps. Like it's almost right in front of Lorre, and it's like the way his silhouette of his head is like it's like he's barking orders at Peter Lorre. The way that was.
Because we didn't have German expressions when we wouldn't have film noir, which I was good too. Like the noir angle, right? Like when they like tie fucking Cary Grant to the chair and they have like all those crazy knives and stuff. You got that like tight close up on like just the bag of knives. And they're lighting like candelabras and everything else around it's just like completely black except for that little like high contrast like candle flames. So German expressionism. That's what we're doing here.
It's fantastic atmosphere, and then the Irishman comes in and flicks on the lights and ruins everything.
Right. It's the it's the lighting and the.
Is that a comment about Irish?
And
Maybe.
And the like the scenes, like the scenery, and like the mise en
Mm.
scène, reflecting like the stuff that's going on.
Said mise en scène, somebody drink.
I just talked a lot.
It's reflecting the stuff that's going on, like with internally with the characters. German expression.
Because I know what it means.
This wasn't boring at all. That wasn't.
This movie
It was totally boring. Everyone fell asleep.
I enjoyed it because I don't know.
This movie definitely shows its bones as a stage play.
Right.
Because most of the movie is shot in a single room.
Yeah.
Right.
There's all like the
long takes. Except for the like torture bit.
There's just that it's almost entirely done in that one shot, and it looks
One scene.
one room. It looks like a stage play, and almost anything that isn't in that room, you can very easily see how it could be shot on stage, off to the side, like anything in the graveyard. You do it outside the window.
The tree was painted and everything.
The whole shot, anything in the cemetery, in the basement could actually have been shot in the doorway of the basement with that like extremely bright light and the shadowing. It really shows the bones of the stage play. Which the big advantage is that you get. I think the big thing that differentiates it from the stage play is they do a lot of facial close-ups. But I think a lot of that is as a result of the actors that they had in certain roles.
And you gotta see those faces that Cary Grant pulls.
I know,
there's a lot of 1940 stuff.
Like you can't even like, yeah.
Well, and I mean, it starts at the beginning in the shots where he's at the registry office.
Yeah.
The whole scene where he's trying to talk to the clerk, and it's just like he's trying to, and it's just like kind of playing with the door, and like just the facial expressions. That they're extreme, but they're contextually like correct.
That's something where like Bob Hope would actually work fine with, probably.
I agree with that. Like I would be more afraid that Bob Hope would have gone too far into the clown-esque like era.
Maybe Bob Hope's got the slick delivery.
That's fair.
Bob
Like,
Hope on the road.
he would have had
As
the
long as we don't have
dialogue.
Jerry Lewis
absolutely
with me.
down.
Right.
I think he would have done a good
Now
job.
I
I mean, comedic Cary Grant is like one of my favorite things. Period. I mean, just
Cary Grant might be too hot for this role.
he's really hot. Yeah, he really is.
Everyone else is so dated.
He's kind
Teddy
of a
is
sore
very-
thumb, to be totally honest.
One
Like,
of the ants
That's
looked like
'cause
a
he's not-
co-worker of mine.
what?
Because he's adopted. Because
He's adopted.
Oh,
to be fair.
adopted. Yeah,
Which
that's
is-
right.
Which is
That's
something
right.
I do want to come
Yeah,
back
he's
to.
adopted.
Hayes Code again. At the end, where he's like, "I'm not a Brewster. I'm the son of a sea cook."
Yeah.
The original line is, "I'm not a Brewster. I'm a bastard."
But the ants are very obviously dated in their clothing. Teddy is very obviously dated because he thinks he's Teddy fucking Roosevelt.
We haven't met yet.
And Jonathan and Dr. Einstein's clothing is sort of worn and like torn. Mortimer's costuming and clothing is very obviously the only, like, at the time, modern style.
And his wife.
And his wife, and
Her
Elaine.
sexy ass pencil skirt. Like,
But she comes in and out a little bit more. But for like consistent, the two of them are only the
Yeah,
modern,
she
which,
really is great.
which really sets them as the outsiders to this story. There is a line, and speaking of, if you haven't watched the movie, spoiler alert, Mortimer's adopted. Still
2 minutes later.
It honestly doesn't like pertain to the film
No,
much.
I actually had this discussion.
statute of limitations is up.
Yeah, this is
If
for
the movie
Like
was
70 years old.
86 years old.
Wait, don't tell me how the war turned out. Did we beat them Japs?
Is Mortimer the oldest or the youngest?
Middle child.
The middle child makes no sense.
Do we retake the illusion?
Yeah, I feel like he must be the youngest.
Did we
because, like,
retake
Guam?
Guam?
His brother, the evil one, Jonathan,
yeah.
Jonathan, is talking about, like, remember when I used to stick needles
under your
Oh my
finger?
God.
Like, you go, oh my
That is actually a
asked-
torture method.
Well,
A
see,
bad one.
That's horrifying.
That's like KGB torture.
yeah.
Mortimer is either the middle or the eldest because
He can't
No way is
No.
the eldest.
Disagree on the middle.
Gotta be the
Well, hang
eldest
on, I
then,
hear him.
because the backstory is his mother came to the house as a cook, and 3 months later, Mortimer was born. Now, it's established that Jonathan and Teddy are both full-blooded Brewsters.
Yes.
That just means that possibly Teddy or Jonathan is his half brother.
They're both his half.
No, they're both. Well, no. Here's the question.
No, they're both
They're
no
not-
relation at all.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's
Stepbrothers.
that's the hair splitting that the movie never actually, and I don't know if the play does, it never actually explains. Like Travis said, Mortimer is the son of the cook who was really good. They didn't want to lose her, and his father was on a stamp steamer. Tramp steamer.
Stamp
Fully
steamer.
Tramp
Ramstein.
Whatever.
We are both tramp stamps.
That's what he writes.
She's a really good cook. The Brewsters didn't want to lose her, so to save her honor and allow her to save face, Mr. Brewster, the sister,
Brother.
the aunt's brother, married her.
So the question is, and they never actually established this, was Mr. Brewster, the brother of the sisters, or brother of the aunts, was he widowed and already had 2 sons and married the cook? So Mortimer is therefore the youngest? Or was he the oldest, he married the cook, and then technically Teddy and Jonathan would be his half-brothers by the same mother?
Or alternatively, was Jonathan already the firstborn son? He was widowed. They remarried, and then Teddy is his half brother, which is what I was trying to say about half brother.
Yeah, neither, like they never actually established that.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter
really,
at all.
other than
No.
the fact that technically by blood he is not a Brewster.
I mean,
so
the
he
whole-
has that genetic insanity, which seems the hereditary insanity, which seems to be like galloping. through
Galloping. It
Yeah,
doesn't run.
It
It
doesn't run in
gallops.
my family. It gallops.
Yes, they get out of the asylum free card.
Yeah. So they
Right.
never actually addressed
They're
that
ready to
in
condemn.
terms of his backstory. With like, is he the oldest, youngest, whatever. But it is established that apparently he is free of the insanity gene, whether or not he's still sane after the events of this movie. He shows up at the house to tell his aunt he's getting married. He's supposed to leave in an hour to go to Niagara Falls. It's the next morning, at least, before he finally gets out of this crazy house.
His
After-
wife is so
And he almost got
boring.
divorced.
Why are we going tonight?
I mean, to be fair.
She wants to put out.
These guys intend to go over Niagara Falls for their honeymoon. He's
In a
crazy.
barrel. In a
He's
barrel.
crazy.
In a
To be
barrel.
fair.
I think had he been actually related to the Brewsters, he might have actually continued on the insanity because when they get into the huge police fight with Jonathan, he's just like sitting there on the staircase and he's just like, he doesn't even care.
Which
That's shock.
That's 100% PTSD shock, and also is hilarious because once again, is he's trying to like hand the phone up to him, and he's
A little bit higher.
Hello. Thank you. That little bit where he's just kind of like the talking, where he just kind of talks to himself for so much of the movie is so much fun, and he has no idea how to interact with anyone else because it turns out his beloved aunts have murdered 12 people. 13. No, they murdered 12. 13. No, the 13th body is Mr. Spinoza.
Yeah.
It's 11. You can't count the first one.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite scene from the movie. Is where
When they're arguing
Laurie's
about God.
debating with like
The old ladies are as good
Later
as
on, Peter Lorre and the brother Jonathan are debating. No, that one doesn't count because he died of pneumonia.
If I hadn't shot him, which is a reference to Andrew Garfield.
And to be fair, I think technically Jonathan wins because he did shoot a man, therefore directly contributing to his death. And for Aunt Abby and Aunt Martha, the first one died of natural causes. So they pull ahead, but only by
Technically, it's
This
a
is the debate we're having.
13-11 split.
right.
one. Yeah, it's a split.
So he's up by 2.
Yeah.
No, because
Well, he wanted to be up by one more to 14.
and he didn't care which brother he took. It was Teddy or Mortimer. Mortimer was just more annoying to him. Because Mortimer knew what was going on.
Ironically enough, Mortimer is more annoying to him than the guy who thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt and charges up the stairs every time he goes.
That guy's pretty awesome.
Woodrow Wilson.
And that poor clock. A secret.
That gag too, where everyone is just like.
One
And
of
grab the clock.
one of the scenes that's like definitely like you don't think of necessarily that I absolutely love is Jonathan and I don't remember the name of which of the aunts, but they're trying to figure out like who's gonna go to bed first.
Yes.
they're like, but I never go to bed this late. But you should go to bed.
early.
No, but it's just early. Yeah, this early.
If two sets of serial killers try to get the other one to go to bed so they can hide the body.
And so like she's like,
don't really operate on
so they're
different
like,
times.
so like one of them, you know, the aunt's at the door and he's like halfway up the stairs. And he's, I'm gonna turn the lights off now, but the lights are on. It's like, so just go in your bedroom and turn the lights off. And she's like, you can turn the lights off right now. It's just this like
this ongoing,
it's like this
up
like
the stairs.
awkward standoff. I mean, it's just
Go to bed, Aunt Abby.
Go to bed, Aunt Abby.
Josie waits like a whole
It's honestly
1
one of the-
seconds before popping out the door. It's like, go to bed!
It's honestly one of the scenes that cracks me up the most. I don't know why. Just the two of them like doing this, like who's gonna go to
Going
bed
up the
first?
stairs,
Yeah.
which serial killer goes
Like
to bed first?
standing at halfway down the stairs. Oh, I'll be up there. It's like, well, why don't you come to bed? I don't know. I just love it.
Something I just looked up. Based on the fact that this movie was actually shot in 1941, this is either Peter Lorre's first or second movie.
Really? Maltese Falcon? Or
Maltese Falcon was 1941 as well.
Right.
So it depends on which one went first.
Yeah.
I mean, and Peter Lorre, it's interesting to see him in this because he hasn't been stereotyped as hard as he would be later.
Which it
Like-
makes sense for his like style of dress, for like him being creepy and kind of downshot. It's like he's Eastern European, he's Hungarian. That style of Europe, or region of Europe, has the very much the trope of just being downtrodden, poor.
And he's 100% less. He is one of the least creepy characters in the movie.
Which is Peter Lorre.
weird.
That's impressive.
Which is why you don't mind that he makes it out okay in the end.
It might have actually been before Maltese Falcon if they couldn't get Bogey at that time.
Yeah, I don't actually know that. Like,
Because if he was off of.
Looking at the dates.
Peter Lorre, the guy who famously went to Bela Lugosi's funeral, saw him in the coffin in full Dracula regalia and went, do you think we should maybe drive a stake through him just to be sure?
Peter Lorre is Hungarian.
Peter Lorre's got. I mean,
I thought Peter Lorre was
Austro-Hungarian.
Austria.
He was born when that was still one empire.
so he.
That was a thing.
History lesson for the day.
Yeah, here we go. You learn things.
Peter Lorre and Cary Grant are two of my favorite actors ever. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main reasons. I mean, the whole movie overall is great and funny, but like just the two of them I love.
Peter
love.
Lorre.
And you get a lot of Cary Grant the first like, you know, half of the movie or so. In the second half of the movie, you don't get quite as much because he's kind of off the deep end at that point. He's just like freaking out,
trying to deal with his chaos.
But that's when you start. That's when Peter Lorre kind of comes in and you get to see a lot of him. And I feel like throughout the entire thing, I have somebody I'm really interested to watch.
I adore Josephine Hall in this movie.
Yeah, she's great.
So funny. And as it was pointed out to me today, that weird little walk she does every time she goes to answer the door, with a little it was pointed out to me today that that is absolutely the basis of Grandma in the Looney Tunes Tweety Bird commercial. Granny.
I just
October 3rd was the release date for Maltese Falcon.
But like
he was in a ton of movies before. I'm on IMDb.
His first one is 1941.
Look at his filmography.
Just probably looking at Hollywood.
Yeah.
He was a stage actor.
He was in a German film.
Yeah.
He had a ton of
we had to flee the Nazis.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, like him.
Oh, you've got a freaking iPhone. I don't know how to operate this.
You just
Must be like Android. I have multiple buttons.
One of my favorite scenes is when he's all tied up and no one is taking him seriously. It's like, no, I'm not going to help you. You're going to listen to me.
You know for a fact, like he starts out with that whole scene where he's like, oh, I'm going to get this police officer, I'm going to get him to stick around by talking about the play, but it backfires on him so hardcore. And then the play's not any good.
It's still hardcore.
But you also know this is a situation that he's been in constantly.
Right.
As a playwright and as a playwright. And the movie starts out where you don't really have any suspicion that this is going to be a murder movie
Scroll up to 1941.
until he's looking like completely unrelated. He's looking for the notes on his book that he wants to burn before his new wife finds out.
That's what I wanted to
mention. All of a sudden, like he just like it's not the like he keeps looking and like there's a dead body and he immediately assumes it's Teddy. Like that Teddy's finally like gone too far. And then it turns out no.
That's one of the other things that I like a lot. Just the whole. It's just another goofy aspect of this. The idea is that this guy, he's not only a film critic, but he's an author. And he's written this book.
Multiple books.
Yeah, right.
Mind over marriage.
It's just damning marriage. And it's like,
Marriage, fraud, and
and like and then that first scene where he's like, he can't say his name out loud because everyone's gonna realize that he's getting married. Then he goes home and he's like, okay, we have to hide the books, like all of these books now that I am married.
Just got me to burn it.
Yeah, it's it's something that it's not part of the main plot, but it's just something kind of funny that adds to the whole, I don't know.
Ridiculousness of the
part
situation.
of the social commentary of this movie. There's a lot of social commentary in this movie, interestingly. And one of, the main things that's the key part of the movie is mercy killing, or And I was waiting, throughout the entire movie for some kind of, official, from the police or someone, acceptance or denial of this. You know what I mean? For someone to say, well, for them to go to court or for a jury to find them innocent or guilty or something. Mm-hmm. You never get that, and it's really kind of infuriating to me that that's the key part of this movie is these old ladies are doing this awful or maybe nice thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
It's
awful
this
or nice?
awful thing that they consider to be nice.
Well, is it awful or nice? I mean,
they consider it to be a form
based
of
on
altruism.
but we don't know.
Their victims
we don't
might
know.
not agree.
But we don't know the full situation,
But
how sad were these dudes? Were they suicidal? Were they
based on how open they are, with talking about it? I'm surprised no one else knows.
That's
what kills me. They're like, we murder people. Didn't you know?
Going back to what I said,
How does no one know?
Where they dropped the scene about killing Dr. Witherspoon at the end. You've seen Dr. Witherspoon, he's not really lonely, he's just a bachelor, he's got a pretty good life, he's kind of happy. But because he fits their criteria, he's an old bachelor, he's a little bit lonely, they give him the wine. You can see right there, it calcifies. Yeah. These two are monsters.
He doesn't have anything in the
The
world.
two are not mutually
he lives in a hotel, so
No,
he's
but it
basically
fits in with
homeless,
the.
I don't know. Not that
dialogue?
Makes sense.
It's like I feel like
What are you trying to say, honey?
they don't go deep enough into it. It's like, I mean, because they couldn't, because then it wouldn't be a comedy.
Oh,
Right.
So, but it was a little infuriating to me.
Well, and there's that little gag where he's talking to the judge. And they're like, well, I'm just gonna go see your aunts. I've been feeling a little lonely. And Mortimer's like, no. Never tell them you're lonely. Like, ever. Anything but that.
Yeah.
Tell them you're happy. I know, like, more of Mortimer's goals, honestly, throughout the entire movie, with getting Teddy committed, is basically so Teddy could take the fall for the aunts. He did not have a plan at that time, which kind of falls into the way the character is running at the time, where he's just, like, basically immediately damage control.
Well, how do you have a plan for that?
But it's like, get Teddy
My
to
answer
take the
is serial
fall.
killer plan B.
Like, he
How
did
many
not have a
videos
plan
was
for if they
Cypher?
killed someone after Teddy got committed.
Yeah.
So the fact that he got the aunts committed is what saves his butt in the end. Is he's like, oh crap, like they'll go too. The whole sequence with there are 13 bodies buried in the cell. And he goes, I've got 19 upstairs.
Yeah.
None of mine are gentlemen. I've got lights on mine.
Neon lights.
Or neon lights on mine. Like trying to get them like that refuge and audacity kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like getting them committed, like he had no plan for after he got Teddy in there. He basically assumed that once he got Teddy in there, I wonder if his original plan was to like call the cops and say, "Oh, by the way, I think Teddy's been killing people."
Yeah.
I'm thinking that was his setup.
Yeah, but then like, what was he gonna do if like the ants? Because the ants were gonna stop because they literally did not see that they were doing was wrong. Like I love that scene where he sits them down and he's like, "Do you understand? You are killing people."
And his
Not
answer
only
is like,
illegal, it's wrong. And how can I explain this to you?
Like dear, they're sad old men. We're helping them, and he's like, "You're not getting this. How are you not getting
How
this?"
would you like it if someone did this to you?
I like the line where the answer just like, well, I would never lie about, you know, and I would never.
I'm not I'm not going to bury a foreigner next to a Methodist.
He looks like a foreigner.
They're obsessed with this whole thing about a good
It's
Christian
the
burial.
1940s. It makes complete sense.
No, right.
It
But
was-
it's just funny, like
You're actually
This
probably
is still
not
back
that.
during the period where you married an Italian. You're an upright English girl.
It's exactly that time
And
period.
actually, my
where
family did that.
It's exactly that time period where my good Polish German grandmother had to move across the country because she couldn't face her family after she married a Swede.
Well, yeah, and my great uncle married an Italian.
Hey, the whole thing about Swedes is you can't tell us anything because we're not listening.
What?
I'm proud of both of you for that.
I got told that as a kid growing up.
It was
repeatedly.
interesting as we were watching this because again, Greg had never been exposed to any of this, and he immediately starts psychoanalyzing the ants and breaking down how they're traditional psychopaths and serial killers. It was kind of amusing to watch.
They're keeping trophies for fuck's sake.
Well, yeah.
They are serial killers.
But they're not
but I do that in
sociopaths.
Why though?
They are absolute. I agree that they are psychopaths, but they are not sociopaths.
No,
I
once
also
again, that's
had-
at this point in the field of psychology and sociology, it's a semantic argument whether or not someone's a psychopath or a sociopath.
Sorry, that was
It is
right.
antisocial
God.
personality disorder
Yeah, no, I
taken
agree.
to a violent extreme.
But in terms of the traditional definition of
Yeah.
sociopathy, they don't qualify.
Oh no,
Neither
they're not intelligent enough to be a sociopath.
and they have empathy for their victims. They
A psychopath wouldn't even show
They think that
that.
they're doing a service.
Like they
They
would
don't
bury a
judge.
stranger
Jonathan,
in the
yeah,
basement.
Jonathan is a psychopath.
Jonathan's a psychopath, but I also disagree that he's a sociopath because he reacts on.
He's also
Yeah,
not intelligent
yeah.
enough for a sociopath. Sociopaths are much more cold,
Yeah,
logical,
no, he is definitely
purposeful.
too emotional. Nobody in this movie is a sociopath because it is an emotional firestorm, honestly.
All right.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts, because we are running out of time. I love every version of this story that I've ever seen, be it the play, be it any of the movies. It is hilarious. It's a good time. I'm really upset by some of the stuff that had to be cut because of the Hays Code, but it's still a fantastic movie. Get out there and watch it. It's absolutely worth your while.
I loved it. I read it and watched it years ago, and it still holds up.
I could have had Bogey.
Really?
I could have had Bogey.
No, Bogey would have been on the brother.
That would have been an improvement.
I dig it. I'd never seen it before. But even though the movie's 76 approximately years old, it holds up. I mean, I laughed a lot. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. You're doing yourself a
73.
disservice. Depends on what date you're going back for.
Not true.
Still one of my favorite movies. I love this movie. I grew up on this movie. I know probably 75% of the dialogue by heart. It is funny. It is dark as hell, and I love it.
Favorite part of the movie was just the comedic sense of timing all throughout. Like, there's just one slapstick spot after another, and then the dialogue and the wit between Teddy and Mortimer is just, you don't see that anymore. You just don't.
I enjoyed it very much. My only regret is that I watched it during the day and not at night with candles burning. It seems like that kind of movie.
I agree.
It
I
really does.
absolutely
So
agree.
it felt like weird to be watching it in the middle of the day, but otherwise great.
Do you want to pitch in next?
Jordan?
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts? Yeah, I dig it. I like the way it's shot. You know, no one of the boring ass German expressions.
Nothing about it wasn't said.
Right? No, I did say he was on set. You missed it. You know, Peter Lorre's good in pretty much anything he's in.
Oh, yeah.
I think Cary Grant might have been a little too hot for the role. Because
Yeah, I agree.
he's distractingly hot. He's like yelling at Doe and
Because he's a
Wonder Woman.
doctor.
Fair enough. He knows
Because
exactly. Cary Grant is a really attractive man.
Yeah. Like if they were getting like a slightly goofier looking guy to play it, it might have worked out a little bit better. Maybe not Bob Hope, but maybe
Jack Benny, maybe?
maybe Jack Benny, maybe Jack Benny's not hot enough though.
So he's got to be separated in some way.
He's got to be hot enough to be
Mr. Bachelor, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not so hot that he's like, what are you doing with this little Cary Grant?
I don't know that he has any sense of comedic timing, but how about Errol Flynn?
Too hot. Too hot.
Maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Errol Flynn also had that swagger.
Okay.
That is true.
I love
He's
this
got too much
movie.
swagger.
It's one of my favorite movies. I saw it in middle school for the first time. I watch it every Halloween. Even though it's not a Halloween movie, it's set on Halloween, so I like it. Cary Grant at his comedic best, I might say. Bring Up Baby is close, but I like him better.
I like
in
it
this.
better. I like this better than Bring Up
And
Baby.
Peter Lorre, of course, and anything he does is fantastic. So I'm Woodrow Wilson. Go to bed. I wanted to end it on that.